All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly live stream. My name is Alicia, and today we are going to talk about how to use have to, need to, and their negative forms. Cha-cha! This is the title for today's live stream. I'm going to talk about, oops, I made a typo in there. I'm going to talk about have to and need to. And I'm going to discuss when we use these grammar points. I'm going to talk about a little bit about have got to and got to at the very end of the lesson as well. So I hope that we have a good chance to practice this grammar and to get to know when we should use it as well. There, fix it. Cool. How to use have to and need to and their negative form. So as you join us, please send a message in the chat so that we can say hello. And of course, please make sure to like and share the video so that other people can find today's lesson. Okay, I see some people in the YouTube chat already. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us. I see Saunders and Josemar. Hello, Erickson. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for coming. Facebook, I'm going to check you right now. I am checking Facebook on my phone so that I can see everything easily. Again, I am broadcasting from my house today, so the format will be a little bit different maybe from what you're used to. Great, I see lots of people now. Okay, I can see everything live on YouTube now. Hi, everybody, Luis and Lukman, Peter. Hi, whoa, wow, there's so many messages. That's awesome. Facebook, I'm looking for you, Facebook, to come and say hello to you. Facebook, where are you? Awesome, I found you, Facebook. Hi, everybody on Facebook, our viewers on Facebook. Federico, Khalid, Moe, hello, Mauricio. Hi, everybody, Sam. Hi there. Cool, fantastic. So this is today's topic, how to use have to and need to and their negative forms. So, as always, today's lesson will be in 3 parts. First, hang on, let me get rid of this. I am control desk again today. Today's lesson, actually, before that, announcements. Announcement number 1 is there's a free beginner level course on our website. I'm pointing at this banner that's on the screen here, this Get Your Guide to Learn English at Home banner. This is a beginner level course, and with this course you get a 52-page ebook. Our team made a 52-page workbook so that you can practice your English. We know that many people, including us, have to stay at home a lot right now. So we hope that if you want to study, you can study with us. So you need an account to get this. But you can get the account, you can get everything for free. To get it, please check the link below this video. If you're watching on YouTube, check the description. If you're watching this video on Facebook, please check the link above the video or above the chat box to get that. That is announcement number 1. Announcement number 2 is a reminder for all of your little questions. So lots of you like to send questions live in the chat that are not about today's lesson topic. If you have like a question about something other than today's lesson topic, or some other question about English grammar, about vocabulary, about culture maybe, please send it to me. This is for our weekly Q&A series called Ask Alicia. You can send me your questions at englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. This is a screenshot from the video, from one of the videos. If you want to check this out, you can go to the English Class 101 YouTube channel and check the videos we have there. You can find a link to send me your questions for this series on YouTube as well. So if you have questions that are different from today's lesson topic, please send them there. Okay, that is it for announcements from me. I see lots of people have joined us. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming today on Facebook. Wow, lots of people on Facebook. May and Tatiana, hello. Luis, Paul, Vorlik, hello. Pablo, hi, everybody. And on YouTube, Star, Eduardo, Jorge, Rodolfo, hi. Cool. Okay, I will show you the 3 parts for today's lesson, and then we'll begin. First, I'm going to talk about have to and need to and when we should use them. I'm going to describe how to make positive statements. So first, we're going to practice the grammar in today's lesson. In part 2 of today's lesson, we're going to look at how to make negative statements with have to and need to. This is something I notice many learners make mistakes with, so I want to practice a lot here. Finally, in part 3 of today's lesson, we're going to cover how to make questions with this grammar, and I'm going to talk about have to, got to, and gotta here. Okay, so we have a lot to do as always. Let's get started. Please send your example sentences in the chat. I will try to check live as much as possible, but please understand there are a lot of messages at one time. So let's begin. Let's start with this first one, have to and need to. So first let's review now the grammar point in general, today's focus grammar point. Have to and need to. We use have to and need to express responsibilities, things that are very important to do. So a really, really common question here is what's the difference? What is the difference between have to and need to? Many people ask me this, many people have sent this to me. So to review, generally, there's not really a difference. If you choose have to or need to in a sentence, you'll have no communication problem. You communicate the same idea, yes. So you can use them interchangeably. Interchangeably means you can switch them. Like you can replace have to with need to. Some of you are asking about got to. I'm going to talk about got to at the end of today's lesson. So have to and need to can be used interchangeably. However, there are very, very tiny differences in feeling. That's what this says. Very tiny differences in feeling. Have to is like some kind of outside responsibility. So like a responsibility from my family maybe, or a responsibility relating to my job. Something that comes from outside me is like have to, like Leah. Hey Leah. Leah says, for example, I have to stay home. Exactly. So that's some responsibility that comes from outside of you. With need to, however, need to has more of a feeling of like a basic life requirement. So we're going to look at some examples of this in just a moment. When I say basic life requirement, I mean something that is important to us as humans, or like something that is kind of important to us, like for our lives, maybe for like our career or our society, maybe just basic like human advice kind of. So this is the difference, the tiny, tiny difference in the feeling. But for grammar, for communication, they have the same purpose, the same function, so you can use them interchangeably. Okay, so now let's move on to how to make positive statements. How to make positive statements. I'll put Facebook here. So, how to make positive statements. Positive, let's begin with this. There are two patterns. If you joined last week's lesson about basic verb conjugation, this will be a good review for you. So, to make a positive statement, we have two patterns. These patterns depend on the subject of the sentence. So the subject of the sentence, there are two groups here. If your subject is I, you, we, or they, we follow this with have to or need to, plus the infinitive form of the verb. So again, the infinitive form of the verb means just the basic form of the verb. So go, or eat, or fly, whatever. So just the basic dictionary form of the verb is here. If your subject is he, she, or it, we have to conjugate. So again, conjugate means change the verb to match the subject. That means has to or needs to, as in he has to or she needs to, plus the infinitive form of the verb. So we have these two patterns to make positive statements. Some questions are coming in. Sandy says, have to and must, what is the difference? I'm not going to talk about must in today's lesson, but very briefly, must is used for official rules and like official policies. Today, these are much more conversational. We do not use must in everyday conversation. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of these. First one, I have to go to the office. I have to go to the office. So here my subject is I have to. My infinitive verb is go. And then I can put some additional extra information. I have to go to the office. Here, uh-oh, my R got erased, sorry. Let me fix that. He needs to visit the restroom. He needs to visit the restroom. This is a very useful expression. Visit the restroom. This is a polite way to say I need to go to the bathroom. But you might hear people more politely say need to visit the restroom. So again, my subject is he, so I conjugate need to needs. He needs to visit the restroom. Visit is my verb here, my infinitive verb, visit. Finally, my final example, you have to finish your homework. Many of you maybe. You have to finish your homework. So depending on the subject of our sentence, we need to conjugate this verb. Please note, this verb does not change. We keep this in the infinitive form. Okay, some example sentences are coming in. I will check YouTube first. YouTube says, I have to go to the market, says Manoj. Cool. David says, I have to go to the beach. Interesting. Why? Why? Mahmoud says, I have to sleep. It's 4 a.m. Good, good, good. Angel says, Alicia has to use small whiteboards. That is correct. Alicia does have to use small whiteboards because Alicia does not have a big whiteboard. Some others. Rubidia on Facebook, I just saw, was your name Rubidia? I hope I said that right. Says, I always get confused with has and have. Yeah, so this part is the have and has depends on your subject. So with practice, when you practice creating sentences, so a good way to practice that, if you have trouble with choosing have or has, is to practice making sentences. So that means speaking. So speak the sentence out loud and write the sentence too. Others, Vanessa on YouTube says, I have to go to the restroom. Is it okay? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Nice one. Victor says, I can say, sorry, I have to go or I must go. So I mentioned briefly, we don't use must in everyday conversation. We use must for like extremely strong personal advice. So like a doctor might say to a patient, like, you must stop smoking or you will die. Something like that. So in everyday conversation, we use have to. That sounds much more natural. If you use must, it sounds too formal. We use it for official rules. Okay, great. You guys are doing an awesome job with this. I'm looking for your questions too. Lots of good examples. On Facebook, Wendy says, I have to stay home because of the virus. Yes, exactly. Nice one. Viviana says, I need to buy a new notebook. Fantastic. Joe Mari, on Facebook says, he needs to make a coffee in the morning. I do too. Okay, fantastic. Everybody is doing a fantastic job with this grammar point. So I will go on to part 2 for today. Fantastic. Nicely done. Thank you for your questions, too. That's awesome. Learn with Trishan says, can I always have to use verb after these? So after this, like, you have to use a verb here. You have to use a verb after this. Okay, very nice. Fantastic. Let's take a short break and then we'll go to part 2 where I really want to focus. Making negatives will be part 2. So if you missed it earlier, I'm pointing at this banner on the screen, yeah? This Get Your Guide to Learn English at Home. If you missed it, I'll share again. We know many people, including us, are staying at home right now. We have to stay at home. So our team made a 52-page, it's totally free, a 52-page workbook and access to our full beginner level English course at EnglishClass101.com. You need an account, but the account is free. You need your name and an email address. So you can get this from the link below the video if you are watching on YouTube, or above the video if you are watching on Facebook. So if you would like to practice with us, you can get the beginner level course for free and a workbook as well for free. So please check that out. I hope that it is helpful for you. I know many people are working on their studies, which is super cool, working with us to improve their English. So please check that out. Okay, if you missed it, if you're just joining, thank you very much for joining us. Today's topic is, oops, I'm control desk. I don't do a perfect job with control desk. Today's topic is how to use have to and need to. How to use have to and need to and their negative forms. Part 1 was how to use have to and need to in the positive form. Now I'm going to talk about the negative forms, Hooray! So let's continue on to part 2. If you have not already, please make sure to like and share the video so other people can find today's lesson. Okay, let's continue to part 2. The important bit, the part I want to focus on the most for today's lesson. So let's continue. Hello, Leandi, one of our members on YouTube. Welcome. Thanks for joining. I hope I said your name right. Okay, let's continue to how to make negative statements with have to and need to. How to make negative statements with have to and need to. This is something I have noticed. Many of you, and when I say you, I mean people who are studying, many of you can make the sentences grammatically correctly. That's great. Awesome. I've noticed, however, that many people choose the wrong situations to use the negative. So we're going to talk about this in part 2. Please think of how to answer this. This is your live homework. If you're not watching live, that's okay. You can send it still. Your comment homework is to finish this sentence. I don't have to something. Okay, so keep that in your head. Let's go through the explanation. First, how do we make a negative statement? Again, as we talked about in part 1 of today's lesson, we have two groups here. Depending on the subject, we have two different sentence patterns. If the subject is I or you or we or they, we use don't. So don't is the reduced form of do not. Do not. So do not is also correct, but we use don't in everyday conversation. We like to reduce things a lot. Make things, so to reduce means to make something shorter. So I don't, or you don't, or we don't, they don't, plus have to or need to, and then our basic verb again. So this part right here, our helping verb, is what's important in these two patterns. If the subject is he or she or it, this verb becomes does not. So here it's do not. In this pattern, it's does not, plus have to or need to, plus the verb. So again, please note that in this pattern, pattern 2, he, she, it, this one, this part does not change. So sometimes I see learners write like doesn't has to or doesn't needs to. So this does not change. This verb does not change here. Please change only this one, does not. So let's look at some example sentences. First, I don't have to go to the office. That's true. I am live broadcasting from my house. I don't have to go to the office. So again, here, I do not have to go to the office is grammatically correct, but it doesn't sound so natural. Try to reduce your sentence, or contract where possible. Second, he doesn't need to eat lunch yet. He doesn't need to eat lunch yet. So you can maybe use this to talk about a coworker or a child, something like that. Made on Facebook says, I don't have to work, LOL. Yeah. Okay. Third, you don't have to finish your homework. That's nice, right? Okay. So please keep in mind your subject here is important. So, okay. So now we know this is good review, I think, for how to make this. But the point that I notice the most mistakes with this, again, like I said, you can make the sentences grammatically correct, which is great. The problem I often see here is learners use this in the wrong situation. So please make sure you use this negative pattern for something we can reasonably imagine you have a responsibility to do. So remember, I talked about how we use have to and need to express our responsibilities, right? My work responsibility, my family responsibility, my study responsibility, right? So sometimes I hear and see learners write sentences about things they do not do. And that sounds very unnatural. Here's an example. Here's a very common example. Sometimes I see students write something like this sentence right here, this X. I don't have to drink alcohol at work. I don't have to drink alcohol at work. The reason, so this sentence is grammatically correct. So this sentence is perfect, like for grammar. However, this sounds really unnatural because we don't expect you drink alcohol at work. It sounds weird. I mean, maybe if your job is if you're a bartender or something like that. But it's not reasonable to expect you drink alcohol at work. So this sentence sounds unnatural. Maybe if you're you're making a joke in a conversation, it's okay. But this sounds weird. Here, this is a better example. I don't have to wear a uniform at work. So this sentence sounds very natural, much more natural, because we can imagine, it's reasonable to expect someone might be required to wear a uniform at work. So please keep this in mind. If you want to express something you do not do, just like some of you are writing, I don't drink alcohol. That is a much better sentence. Or say I don't drink alcohol at work. Like that's much more natural. Please don't use I don't have to. Okay, so now I'm going to start looking for your comments now. Here, comments. So please try to finish the sentence. So again, choose something in the negative. You can use need to as well. I don't need to. Ooh, that's really ugly. I don't need to is okay too. So please finish this sentence. I'm going to look for it. Facebook, Kathy says, I don't have to go to school because I follow online English classes every day. Yeah! Wow! You never go to school? School is good for you. Okay, very nice. Some other things. Someone said, Islam said, I don't have to play PUBG right now. Okay, so you don't have to, no, but is that an expectation? I don't know you personally, so I don't know. But please keep in mind, we use this for something that there's some expectation to do that thing. Raphael says, in Germany, it's okay to drink alcohol at work. I don't know about that. Guillerme on YouTube says, I don't have to wear shoes at work. Great, great, great. Okay, wow, your examples are coming very quickly. Yun says, I don't need to gain weight. Okay. Learn with Trishan, I don't have to go out. Good. Jue says, I have to take a shower. Very nice. Many of you are writing, I don't need to go to work. I don't need to go to work. Great, great, great. Okay. Justin on Facebook says, you don't have to go out. You don't have to go out. So that's one situation. It's kind of tricky now, the situation now. Like, you don't have to go out. I would say now, like, of course, all of us are staying home now. I would say you should not go out. Or maybe like this is a case where must might be a good idea. Like you must not go outside right now. Like it's really strong personal advice. Don't have to sounds like there's an option to. That's the reason that this sounds weird. If I say don't have to, it sounds like this is an option. So keep that in mind. Okay, great. You guys have made very nice sentences with the negative form. So this is something please consider. When you use this as the negative, it sounds like this activity is an option. Like it's okay and you choose not to do it. That's the vibe. That's the feeling with the sentence. Excellent examples on Facebook. PPL. Hi, I don't have to wake up early tomorrow. Me neither. Excellent. Fantastic. Very nice sentences, everybody. I have a few more minutes. I get to stay a little bit later than usual, I think, up to 10 minutes later. So I'll take one more quick break and then we'll go to the last part. So some of you, I've been seeing your messages in the chat. You've asked, have got to, ought to, what? We're going to talk about this in part 3 of today's lesson. So last reminder for today, if you missed it earlier, this banner I'm pointing at, Get Your Guide to Learn English at Home. This is a free beginner level course at EnglishClass101.com. You can get it together with a 52-page ebook, workbook, a downloadable thing so that you can practice your English with us. That would be super awesome if you decide to do that. If you would like it, you have to make an account. You have to make an account to download it. That's perfect. You have to make an account. The account is free. Please check the link below the video if you are watching on YouTube. If you are watching on Facebook, please look above the video or above the chat, depending on where you're looking, for the link for that. All right, let's go to the last part of today's lesson. The last part of today's lesson is how to make questions with have to and need to, and I'm going to talk about these other points, like have got to and got to. Ought to was another one. If you have not, please do make sure to like and share this video so that other people can find today's lesson. Alrighty, let's go. Part 3. So let's talk now about how to make questions with have to and need to. So again, I have made 2 groups, but there's a bonus in here. You can actually use these 2 patterns for 4 different sentence structures. Okay. Hey, Monday, one of our members on YouTube, welcome. Yes, we have to weather the storm, indeed. Okay, so let's look at our question patterns now. I always use this WHQ. WHQ means WH question, who, what, when, where, why, also how. Some of you asked about that. So this is at the beginning of our sentence pattern. And again, we need to use our helping verb do if the subject is I, you, we, or they, and our helping verb does if the subject is he, she, or it. Then we use have to or need to, no change to this verb again, and our verb at the end. So please note, again, here at this part of the sentence, no verb change. There's no verb change, no has to or needs to, whatever. This part is the same, no changes. However, our helping verb needs to change, do and does, depending on the subject. Now, this pattern, WHQ at the beginning, this is like an information question. But you can remove this. You can start your question with do or does to make a yes or no question. So I'll show you these in our examples. Let's look at some examples of questions. First, when do we have to submit our reports? WH question, when do we have to submit our reports? When do we have to submit our reports? Who do I have to speak to about this? Who do I have to speak to about this? Whom, I suppose. You have to speak to him. Whom do I have to speak to about this? But you will hear this who pattern. Finally, where does she have to go? Where does she have to go? So in all of these, I've started the question with a WH question, but if I remove this, as in the first sentence, it becomes a yes or no question. Do we have to submit our reports? Or do I have to, this one doesn't work so well, but if you want to make a yes or no question, do I have to speak to so-and-so about this? Or does she have to go? So you can make a yes or no question in some cases, by just removing this part. So the end of the sentence, this second one doesn't work perfectly with it. At the end of the sentence, you'll need to change it a little bit to make a yes or no question. Some examples are coming in. Manoj says, when do you have to submit your assignment? Good. Robin says, when do I have to go there? Very nice. Okay. Salifu on Facebook says, what What do, don't forget your do, yeah, your helping verb. What do we need to do at this time or at Corona time? Good. So don't forget your helping verb, do. We like do. Jesus says, do we have to submit a comment? No, but you can practice this way. Okay. San says, where do I have to practice my lessons? Good. Okay. Seang says, when will we have this class again? Nice. Yeah, every week. Okay, so let's go to the next part. Why do you have to say things in such a roundabout way? Great, great. Nice example, Monday Blue. Okay, let's go to have to, got to, and gotta. Oh my, some of my text got erased. Okay, I'm going to quickly fix it. I must have touched it. Sorry, everybody. One moment, please. Okay, there we go. Have got to. So let's talk about, some of you have asked these questions, like what about have got to, or gotta, or ought to, what? So let's talk about this. Have got to, have got to. Have got to is an expression that is a little more common in British English. We use it, it's used in the same way as have to. So the grammar is the same. Like, where's my first one? We talked about in part 1 these positive sentence patterns. So we can use have got to right here, right here. I have got to, infinitive verb. He has got to, infinitive verb. We can use have got to in the same way, but in American English, we don't really use have got to as much. It's more common in British English. So, got to, what is the deal with that? What is the deal with gotta? So, I want to show you kind of a flow of what is going on here. What is the deal? I have got to. This pattern we don't use really in American English. This, however, I'm going to show you kind of a flow of what's happening here. I have got to. This is like the next step. So we've reduced I've from I have. So I have became I've here, yeah? I have got to becomes I've got to, which becomes even shorter, I've gotta. I've gotta. So this gotta is the informal reduced got to. This is what's happening here. I've got to becomes even shorter to I've gotta. And in American English, we use this pattern. I gotta. We drop this v in fast speech, and it becomes I gotta. This part, gotta, is used in American English. This says casual. It's hard to see. This is used in American English. I gotta. So we use I gotta in the same way as I talked about in part 1. I gotta go, as someone just wrote in the chat. I gotta leave. I gotta eat something. That's what gotta is doing, and that's how gotta came to be. This is the flow. This is what happened with gotta. So gotta is got to, but we don't use got to. I got to is grammatically incorrect. So technically, I gotta is also grammatically incorrect, but it is very, very commonly used. So that's what's happening here. Ought to. For those of you who asked about ought to, if you're not familiar, ought to, O-U-G-H-T, ought to, this one, is kind of an old-fashioned expression that means should. So these have to and need to and gotta, those are used for responsibilities, things we must do, but casually. Ought to is like should, but it sounds old-fashioned. Ooh, loud sounds. So ought to is not used in the same way here. Luis on YouTube says, she gotta is correct. She's gotta. Interestingly, when the subject is he or she or it, we'll say she's gotta. She's gotta. But when the subject is I, you, or we, or they, we use I gotta or you gotta. So I'll write he's gotta. So why? This he's is he has got to. That's what that is. But For some reason, when we use the I, you, we, they pattern, we drop this v. It's a weird thing in casual English, but this is how it goes. So please note this. This gotta also. Finally, oh, I gotta stop. A final point, gotta, please don't write gotta in formal or professional emails. This is not like an official word or an official like spelling. It sounds very, very informal. So please use this in like text messages to friends on social media, great. But please do not use this in formal emails. Okay, I gotta end the lesson. I'm gonna be late. Oh my gosh, so let's finish there. Thank you very much to everybody who joined today's lesson. I hope that it was helpful for you. Next week, I'll be back. Next week, I polled everybody on Instagram last week. Thank you very much for everybody who sent me some topics and what you want to learn about. Next week, as a result of that poll, we're going to talk about phrasal verbs for around the house. Many of you said you wanted to practice phrasal verbs, so I chose a category. We're going to talk about phrasal verbs for around the house next week. So it should be a good lesson. Please join us at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York City time, or your local time. You can please Google it. Also, if you can't remember, please set a notification on YouTube or Facebook so you can find out when we start broadcasting. Don't forget, if you want to learn with us for free, the beginner level course is available from the link below the video if you are watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching on Facebook. Check it out, make your account, you can download the free workbook to practice. I hope that that's helpful for you. Thank you very much for sending your comments and your questions. That was super, super awesome. Thank you for liking and sharing the video too. So please be safe, please be well. Thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you again next time. Bye.